Well, wake the kids and phone the neighbors. How's it going? Welcome. We're back to Nightly Draw live for July 13th, 2017. How you doing? I'm John Lotshaw, the crackpot cartoonist. Hope you're doing well. Glad you could join us. Here we are again. Glad you could join us. It's interesting watching the little conversations that happens on the chat beforehand. If you're watching this on the replay, you don't really know what I'm talking about because actually YouTube gets rid of all of that stuff when it after the stream is over. But making really bad money puns. Oh boy. Anyway, and I have to admit, I actually started it because I said something about we don't bite, some of us do, and then someone said something about nibble, and I said 4 bits is a nibble. It's also half $1, and that just kind of got the whole thing started. And so I'm sorry. I totally apologize. Anyway, glad you could join us. The mic is working. That's good. Yes, I can see it working. That's good. Last night's show, I want to apologize for last night's show, and especially the rant at the end. I really did not mean, I was really carrying on cranky last night. It was just a bad day. Some of you know why. And I was just really in a foul mood. And it was nothing that anybody here did or anything like that. It was completely external. And I'm sorry. But I do appreciate you putting up with my little rant, and so thank you for that. I do want you to go and buy stuff. My contrition only goes so far. But anyway, thank you for putting up with that, and I do appreciate it. Anyway, tonight I think I'm going to work on some of the Doctor Who print. And I'm going to draw some doctors. That ought to be fun. And I've been playing with it with this Nixie clock, adding some features to it. And I'm really, really pleased with the way this thing is turning out. Is this button? Yeah, there it is. I'm just so cool. And I've got someone who's going to test it for me on the Windows platform to see how that works. And it also compiles for Linux as well. So if anybody wants to, it runs Linux. I can send it to you and let you know, but it should run fine. If it runs fine on the Mac, it should be running fine on the PC and on a Linux box. Friday, tomorrow is I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be over there. Going to move over to the other computer. We're going to set up, and we're going to do a show with the scanner and the Cintiq. Yeah, you're going to want to set your clocks for that and write that one in your calendar. Tell your grandkids about it because that's going to be. And actually, what I might do is I might take the whatever I draw tonight, the Doctor Who that I draw tonight, and actually put that over there and save it, and scan it, show you how I scan and how the coloring works. So that should be pretty cool. That's kind of all the preliminary stuff, which brings us to the section of the show we all love. It is yep, that's right, shameless capitalism, folks. Get used to that. That one's not going to go away. Patreon. We got the Patreon program over there at patreon.com/Accidental Centaurs. It's we've got various levels of membership starting at $5. There is a $30 level which has the Not Safe for Work Friday, which goes out tomorrow, and every little bit helps. I appreciate the members that we have. In fact, a little recognition here as I talk. But new pages for Accidental Centaurs go out, and I'm going to get some done this weekend and get them up there so they can start going out again. And I apologize for that. It's just been kind of busy around here. But there's at $5 a month, you get to see the new pages as they are done. And right now, they're just going to be line art, just so we can get them out. And the new pages will be up there exclusively until the story is complete, and then they'll be collected into a comic book. Speaking of which, there is going to be I'll get to this in a moment, but there will be I'm going to be working on a page where you can buy the comic books and you can buy all the other stuff all in one place. Excuse me. Then there's also the Facebook page, which you can't see the link for because it's covered up by the names of the oh boy, that's planning. Covered up by the names of the patrons, but there we go. Facebook is where you find out what's going on with Accidental Centaurs and what's going on with me. That is at facebook.com/Accidental Centaurs, and you can like that page. If you haven't already, please go over there and do that. And speaking of liking things, if you haven't already, just take a second and click that subscribe button there on your YouTube page. That really helps me out and helps move forward with all the various things that we are going to be doing here in the future. There's also an Etsy shop at etsy.com/shop/Accidental Centaurs. Original art is there, as well as a page for taking commissions. I do take commissions. Please, I love doing commissions. I will do whatever you like, within reason. And we'll talk about what within reason means. If you are so inclined, you got an idea, shoot me a line over there through Etsy, and we'll make arrangements for it. We can do that over there. Books. Accidental Centaur is collected into books, for those of you who don't know. And you can get them at Lulu. They are full color, beautiful printed books. These are print-on-demand books. And there are 2 volumes. Currently, there is Volume 1 and the cleverly named Volume 2. Volume 2 has Volume 1 has the first 3 stories. Volume 2 has the full story, graphic novel of Dictating the Course. And that's available over there at Lulu. Also on Lulu, on a slightly different address, are the adult books, and that's at lulu.com/naughtybits. There are 3 volumes of that: Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. Again, these are all full color books, beautiful printing on them, beautiful plumage. And I don't know where that came. Well, I do know where that came from, but I don't know why it just popped into my head. Like Mr. Stay Puft, it just popped in there. Okay. I got a comment here. What I will do and will not do when it comes to commissions. I'll do that in I'll go back to that in just a second. But those are available at lulu.com. There are also, all of the Lulu books have digital versions that are not as expensive. They're PDFs, very nice PDFs. They're not as expensive because we don't have to kill a tree to make them, so they're a little less expensive because we're just shipping bits around. So that's over there. And then there's DragonCon coming up, which will be September 1st through 4th here in Atlanta at the Atlanta Merchandise Mart. And so that is there at DragonCon. If you're going to be in the Atlanta area, please come by. I'd love to see you and love to say hello and how you do. Going back to Etsy, going back to what James Rao suggested that I talk just a moment about what I will and will not do when it comes to commissions. I will. I don't mind doing the adult stuff. Obviously, I've done adult stuff before. I will not do adult stuff with other people's characters unless you have permission from them to do it. I really don't like doing stuff with other people's characters without their permission. just because I don't like people doing stuff with my characters without my permission. And saying, I'm really uncomfortable with that, or that's okay. If you have an okay from the original artist, and you can have them contact me and say, yeah, you can go ahead and do that with this character, that's fine. But if it's your own character, if it's a character of your own, that's fine. I don't mind doing, do whatever you want there. So that's kind of the ground rules. Just be courteous. Don't have we're not going to go into that. It's just you know the idea. Just be considerate with other people's characters is all I'm saying. In terms of the content for AC, okay. This was part of the rant last night, and I'm not going to go into another rant, but I need to make money off of this. So content, I'm putting it. Yes, it is behind a paywall, but it's not that big of a paywall, folks. It's just $5 a month. It's $5 a month. It's less than the price of a cup of coffee at Starbucks a month, and you get to see the new pages as they go up. Okay, and you have access to them, But like I said, I got to make money. I can't keep giving this stuff away. Back in the days when it was a viable model to make money from advertising revenue, there was no problem with giving this stuff away because it was like broadcast television. You put the content up for free where anybody can see it, and you stick ads in it, and you make money off the ads. Advertising is not viable. Web advertising is not a viable business model anymore, and I have Google ads on the site, but I don't make any money off of them. I literally make pennies a day off of Google ads, and so I have to find other ways to monetize. So the answer is new stuff will be going up to Patreon. That's where it's going to go. That's probably where it's going to stay. The public site is probably going to be converted basically into a brochure. Honestly, that's what's probably going to happen. Right now, I haven't done it yet because I haven't had time to go and do it. But that's probably what's going to happen. Is it's going to turn into an online brochure to push you to introduce you to the characters, introduce you to the stories, and then say if you want to read the rest of the story, you need to go and buy a comic book or become a patron. That's just the reality of the situation. All right, so there you go. There you go. All right. Let's look at my sketchbook, which is not bigger on the inside, or my Bristol pad here, which kind of ruined that joke, didn't I? Oh well. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, I'm really happy with the lighting tonight on this camera. And what I did was I took a piece of Bristol and I stuck it back here. So now I've got a bounce reflector that is reflecting a lot more light back on me, and so it looks. I'm looking at it over here, and when I opened the pad, it blew out. But this looks, except for the fact that it's my fat face, the lighting looks 10 times better. So, all right, so here we go. I think that what I'm gonna do is get started with. Like I said, what I'm thinking about doing for Dragon Con is doing a print with all of the doctors. So now I'm doing this mainly from memory. It's not like I did with Darkwing Dude's character, and I had the reference here. But then again, I've been watching Doctor Who since 1983, excuse me. I think it's kind of obvious which Doctor this is going to be.
Do I watch the new Doctor Who? Oh yeah, yeah. I've in fact downloaded the original when it first came out. What I would do was I would, as soon as it ran on, because there was for a while there was a delay between when it ran on BBC.
Actually, Sci-Fi had it in the U.S. first.
So there was a delay between when it ran. This was when the Eccleston season, and he would so there was a delay between.
When it started when it ran on BBC One and when it
ran in the United States, so I would wait. I would look on BitTorrent for MPEG-4s that people would do of the broadcast, and
I would download those and watch them before it ran here in the U.S.
So yeah, I really like. Actually, I've liked all of the Doctors that they've had. The problem,
I think, and there's a lot of,
Capaldi. I like Capaldi. I really do. I like his Doctor, and I like what they're doing with him because it's very similar to what they had originally planned to do with Colin Baker's Doctor, which was have him start out as a thoroughly unlikable character and then give him room to grow into. And they didn't have the chance to finish it with Colin Baker, and and that was kind of that was a big step for them to do in
1980s television
because you don't you didn't do arcs
back then.
I mean you just didn't do that.
And yep,
teeth and curls, that's right. So and I'm doing this kind of lightly because, again, I'm going to erase. And Tom Baker had these big bug eyes.
This reminds me of a line from Ghostbusters. Don't look at me with the bug eyes.
Janine, sorry about the bug eyes thing. Sorry. I don't know where that random neurons.
Yeah, the companions.
Yeah, I never warmed up to Bill, so I didn't really feel a big loss when she,
spoiler alert,
gets cyberized. And then Clara, good riddance to her. That she ended up being kind of, an undead time traveler. And I just really didn't care for. There was a whole lot. She was just a whole lot of nothing. There was nothing there. Amy Pond.
Now I liked Amy Pond.
Yes, Peter Capaldi is leaving, and
if you haven't seen any of this
season, there's a huge surprise at the end of the season finale, which I will not ruin for you because it's a very delicious surprise. And I thought that the casting for that was brilliant. Yep, who knows? Boy, he had a honker on him. Um, Oh, great. I'm going to have to draw another one of those scarves again, like I did with the kid in Negative Spaces, which, of course, was based on this scarf. And I regretted it. But, oh, maybe it'd be cute to have her have a Doctor Who scarf, a Fourth Doctor scarf, and then, she ends up having that bloody thing in every single panel. Oh, and I had to. Oh boy. All right. Actually, that's not too bad. Not bad from memory, I have to say. I'm actually pretty pleased with that. Again, like I said, that's completely from memory. Well, his nose is bigger on the inside. But anyway. Good night, everybody. Have you ever had jelly babies? I actually don't like jelly babies. They were just kind of bland. I really didn't care for them. I was excited to actually... We found a confectionery store... here actually in a mall, actually kind of a dirt mall here in Atlanta, Colin Baker doesn't get any love, and I think that's a shame, because I think that had he been given the opportunity to do what they were planning to do with him, he would have been one of the great doctors, because they were aiming to do with him what they're doing with Capaldi, because Capaldi gets started and he's got he's cranky, well, kind of like I was last night. He doesn't like people, he doesn't want to be around them, and then at the end, he's this much better person. And if you in that speech, there's a speech that he gives in that episode that's amazing, where he's trying to convince the masters to stay and help him save the human from the Cybermen, and it's just an amazing speech. It really is. And I don't think Colin Baker was given a fair shake. He really wasn't. He had the misfortune of having John Nathan Turner as his producer, late John Nathan Turner, just as Sylvester McCoy did. And he didn't have the story support. And they weren't able to follow through
on the big master plan they had for the character.
Because the show got canceled. So I think he was, he was, his acting was over the top, but that was the plan. It was that he was going to be this over the top character with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer. That was the point.
And if you read some interviews with Colin Baker, the person who hated that jacket more, that costume more than anybody else on the planet, was Colin Baker. He hated it. It was forced on him by John Nathan Turner. And actually the Christopher Eccleston's Doctor was very much a reaction to that costume, because Eccleston took the part on the understanding that the character would be the character and not the costume. So now, what I plan to do with this is I'm going to do my outlines here in the multiliner. And then come back over it in India ink, because the colors, I'm not going to do the colors on the Copic, I'm going to do the colors with the with India ink. And then now we erase. Erasing. Now, I really didn't like Jelly Babies. They weren't sweet enough for my American palate. I know that English confectionery, and the English take their confections very seriously. I mean, they take their candies, their sweeties very seriously.
English chocolates are very different. Oh, look, I forgot to separate that leg. There we go. Now, Tom is never sarcastic. He's beyond sarcastic. There's sarcasm, and then there's Tom. All right. I love these gum erasers. Almost to the point where it almost makes me like erasing. Just because look, you saw how much pencil was down on this thing, and look at it. Look at this. Amazing. Amazing. All right. Let's see. All right, here we go. This may turn out to be my Waterloo, but I'll give this a try. Please, nobody say so far so good, because that's going to be the point where it all goes cattywampus. Of course, I know what's going to happen. Now that I've said don't say so far so good, I know exactly what's going to happen. And I know who it's going to happen from. Lovingly frosted with glucose, garnished with a lark's vomit. It doesn't say anything about that on the package. It does, right under monosodium glutamate. I know where this is going to trip me up. Doing this with the brush is going to trip me up. It's going to trip me up as soon as I start working on the hair. I just know it. I just know it. I am normally just in awe of anybody who works with a brush. I went up to visit Guy Gilchrist, and I watched him inking Nancy, and he inks Nancy with a brush, which I just... And the trick is, it's all in practice, is what it is. You know, when I did the show, when asked me about, what did I talk to the kids about, and I said, anybody can draw, anybody can ink with a brush. It just takes practice, and I don't have it, and I need to take my own advice and practice.
It's Happy Curls. Happy Curls. Oh, look at those happy curls there. And a happy bug eye. I don't know if you remember the opening sequence to the sitcom Family Ties, but it starts out with a line drawing of the cast, and a hand reaches in with a brush to start painting the picture, and it reaches in to Meredith Baxter Burney's shoulder. And then just goes sporch. You see the brush spread out in all directions. It's just it's not contact. It's an impact. And that's me with a brush. Remember, I went to see The Day of the Doctor, which was the 50th anniversary episode, the one with John Hurt and David Tennant. I saw it in the theater. That was amazing. I hadn't seen so many fezzes and bow ties since the last time I was at Dragon Con. It was shown in theaters all around the world, simultaneous with the broadcast on BBC One. And so here in Georgia, it ran at 11 o'clock in the morning, which is, it was a perfect timing. Unlike, on the West Coast, it would have been 11, 10, 9, 8 in the morning. So I went and saw it. I had to go to this theater down on the south side of Atlanta, which I never go to the south side of Atlanta unless I'm going to the airport. Yeah, I saw that about Riff Tracks doing the 5 Doctors. That's gonna be fun. That was the first Doctor Who episode I ever saw. Which was absolutely the worst episode to introduce somebody to Doctor Who with. Because that episode, you really needed to know what the heck was going on with Doctor Who and the history of the show. Otherwise, it didn't make a lick of sense. And it didn't make a lick of sense. I mean, I had some idea about, the idea why there was more than one Doctor. But that was the one, and actually it was kind of little footnote in Doctor Who history. The first time the 5 Doctors ran was anywhere on television was in Georgia. Even before it ran on BBC One, and the reason why was the date of the anniversary was
the day of the anniversary was a Wednesday, and BBC One wanted to run the Five Doctors in its usual Saturday time slot. So they had told all the other broadcasters around the world that were going to run it to embargo it, which is a broadcasting term meaning don't run this until a certain time. Well,
Georgia Public Television
either didn't get the memo or didn't understand English, because, you know, after all, we are talking about two countries separated by a common language here. And
they ran it on the anniversary on the 23rd of November,
before it ran in the UK, and the BBC, as they would say, the BBC were furious.
What fell? Oh, my brush. Okay.
So much so that Georgia Public Television was supposed to start running Doctor Who that with Robot, which was the first Tom Baker episode. They were supposed to start running it that weekend, and
They pulled it.
they said, "No Doctor Who for you." So it was another 6 months before they had done their penance, and they were able to start running Doctor Who, which we had every Saturday night. They would run the movies,
Where they, compiled the episodes very crudely into
from the serial format into the long form episodes. And when I say very crudely, I mean very crudely. So there would be a scene with the that would end in a cliffhanger, and you'd hear the scream, which is that sound effect that they started in the Tom Baker era, and then they brought back for the reboot.
It's called The Scream. And well, the scream would go and it would immediately cut off when they cut to the next scene.
from the resolution of the next episode. So, like I said, very crudely edited, but, I loved it. Not very many people. I was a senior in high school, and none of my friends really, at the time, got it.
Mystery Science Theater, Joel is my favorite.
Joel was my first guy in the Satellite of Love. He's my favorite. I actually liked Jonah Ray. I thought he did a good job. I actually liked it. I liked the reboot. But, I'm doing my own movie riffing show starting up here soon. And I'm not going to be the one doing the riffing. Whoever watches the show is going to be doing the riffing. Because the riffing will be done live on Twitter. Yeah, those Doctor Who movies were with Peter Cushing were a product of their time. I'll just be charitable and say that. Although Bernard Cribbins, Wilf, was in the second one. He was the comic relief in the second one. I always think of Bernard Cribbins from his role as the very fussy spoon salesman in
Faulty Towers.
He is hilarious in that. And Basil, when he finds out that he sold spoons and was not a hotel inspector. Oh my. What a great show.
Faulty Towers. I love that show.
Actually, Patton Oswalt. I didn't mind Patton Oswalt in the new MST3K. And again, I'm not a big fan of his either. But I actually didn't mind him because I thought he did a good job of channeling Frank until we got to the end of the series. Okay, you want to do a Peter Cushing versus Christopher Lee question. All right, how's this? I can top that question for nerdiness.
Which one had the better Space 1999 appearance? Now, is that nerdy or what? Oh, Tom, don't forget before
they did the American version of Faulty Towers with John Larroquette,
they did a version with B. Arthur.
Now, don't go hating on Space 1999.
Yes, you can hate on the second season,
But first season, you gotta. It was It was a very different time for television, and you really can't judge it. And I know Tom isn't by modern standards.
but
I liked Space 1999, especially the first season, Space 1999. I remember when it first came out. You gotta remember, at the time, the only decent science fiction that was on TV at the time was Star Trek. I mean, there was nothing else. It was you had Star Trek, you had Twilight Zone. Those are anthologies, but I mean, for continuing stories, that was it. And the idea that somebody would try to take on Star Trek, and this was before the popularity of Star Wars. Brought science fiction into the vogue.
all right. Now the second season of Space 1999, yeah, Oh, Lord have mercy. It was awful. They brought in Fred Freiberger, who was the man who destroyed Star Trek, so he could finish the job with Space 1999. And anyway, there we go. There's Peter Davison. Yeah, I remember Arc 2. It was a Saturday morning show. It was produced by Filmation. It starred Terry Lester, who later went on to be in a soap opera. Was it One Life to Live? I think. Anyway, he was in a soap opera, and it had the chimp. And it was not the same vehicle as in Damnation. It looked similar, but it was not. It was much smaller than the vehicle in Damnation Alley, and built by a different builder. And was several years before Damnation Alley. So anyway, there's Tom. That actually came out pretty good. I'm really pleased with that. So I'm gonna scan this and run it, and then tomorrow night we'll scan this and color it over on the computer. So part 2 tomorrow night. Let's see, talking about Space Academy and Jason Starkman. Yeah, those were Filmation shows also. James Doohan was in one of them, and Jonathan Harris was playing a different character from Dr. Smith. I mean, normally he was kind of typecast as Dr. Smith. There was a great line he played this character on Freakazoid named Professor Jones, and the people kept asking him, "Weren't you in a show with a robot and a kid?" And then of course he was in and I thought it was wonderful. He was in A Bug's Life. He was in a Pixar movie. He was in A Bug's Life, and there was at one point during one of the battles he does do the pain. So I was having a blast. If you like Lost in Space, you need to go over to YouTube and do a search for the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences interviews with Bill Mumy. He talks about his time on Babylon 5 and of course his time on Twilight Zone. But he also talks about Lost in Space, and he does this fantastic Jonathan Harris impression. It will make you happy. It will make you dance. It is so funny because it just sounds so like him. You really need to check that one out. That's really worth looking into. No, none of that. Here's what we'll do. I'll say this, and then you say that, and I'm not even doing it justice. Bill Mumy just had it down perfectly. It's just a funny clip to watch. Go and check that one out. Yeah, Jonathan Harris wrote all. He rewrote all those scripts. Bill Mumy tells that. Irwin Allen calls calls Jonathan Harris into his office and says, "Harris, I know what you're doing. Keep it up." And it did make the show very silly. The first episodes, the black and white episodes, are very serious. I mean, it's Smith is this really, 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 really bad guy, and you know what? I know what I'm going to do next. Now that I got Tom out of the way here, let's do this. Let's do this real quick. Speaking of Jonathan Harris and Lost in Space, pencil. No, that's brush. Pencil. All right. Quick reference. All right. All right, let me go back over here. I did this as a convention sketch once, just as a convention doodle. So I actually called up a quick reference of yeah. Oh, sorry. Let's try that again. I need to actually be. Boy. See, this is what happens when I don't have a dedicated air monitor. There we go. There we go. As I was saying, I did this originally as a convention sketch at Dragon Con last year. Let's see how this works with a chisel tip. This could work, or this could be a disaster. All right, there's a quick little rough sketch of. Now, I'm drawing the robot from memory here. Remember there was this.
Lost in Space. I have a special affinity in my heart for Lost in Space because that was my introduction. That was my gateway drug into science fiction. I think I've told this story before. I got interested in science fiction because I was this was 1973. When did Pioneer go to Pioneer 10 went to Jupiter? 1973, as I recall. And my grandparents sent me a subscription to National Geographic School Bulletin, which was the kiddie version of National Geographic. And the first one I got had this pictorial had this gallery of images that had just come from Jupiter from the Pioneer 10 probe, which was the first probe to visit Jupiter. And so I was just entranced by space, and I wanted to see anything that had to do with space. And there was this show on Channel 22 in the afternoons after school called Lost in Space, and so I started watching it, and that was when I discovered science fiction, and I got hooked on science fiction, and that ran for a few months, and then they replaced it with this other science fiction show called Star Trek. And I still remember the first Star Trek episode I saw was a piece of the action. But I loved that theme, the second theme that John Williams did, the second season of the third season theme to Lost in Space. I loved that theme. Now the robot I'm doing directly from memory, so I may not get everything right on it. But I think I'm pretty close. That's right. You can't afford to lower the quality of my drawings because then you might actually have to read Tom's jokes. And we can't have that. probably kind of iffy in this area because you really didn't see that much of it. But there was a guy in the suit, and supposedly the robot would walk, so that's why they had the legs like that. They're rebooting Lost in Space for Netflix. Be afraid. Be very afraid. I've heard that Dr. Smith is going to be a woman. Well, I had an effeminate guy playing the part originally, so I don't know. And that, June Lockhart actually was interviewed, and she said she thought that if it had been real, Dr. Smith would have been gay. That because of his mannerisms and things like that. I don't know. All right. All right.
How's that? How's that for a quick and dirty? Little Lost in Space. Talking about Lost in Space. Quick and dirty Dr. Smith and Robot. Did anybody ever see Forbidden Planet? Oh my, what a great movie. That was kind of a proto Star Trek in many ways. And the robot, Robbie, was designed by the same guy that designed the Space 1999 robot. And I've done it again. I've lost my glasses. I set them aside for just a moment, and they disappear. Anyway. Oh, there they are. They're hanging. Ah, boy. So, thank you. Parker Posey is the new Dr. Smith. Oy vey. Oy vey. Leslie. Of course, Leslie Nielsen was kind of a heartthrob back then. This was before he was known for doing goofball comedies. Long before that, and so yeah, my glasses are over. They were over there actually. So yeah, so you found them. Forbidden Planet was based on Shakespeare's The Tempest. It was The Tempest in Space, is what it was. Every time I see it, I keep thinking, oh look, there's Oscar Goldman. Oh boy. Okay, so anything else while we're here? Boy, we've been all over the place in terms of talking about stuff tonight, haven't we? The Lost in Space movie. Yeah, boy, I saw that. There was some good things about it. Not many, but some. Gary Oldman to play Dr. Smith. I mean, you can't ask for a better villain. And he realized this is going to be over the top, so he was just so over the top with that. It was actually funny watching him. Battle Beyond the Stars, actually that was Seven Samurai. Early James Cameron work on that. It was Roger Corman, yeah, and the voice of the robot, because they had what was his name? What was the guy's name? It wasn't Bob May. Was the guy in the suit? What was the voiceover guy's name? He was the one that did all the voiceover stuff for Disney back in the day, and also all the Irwin Allen stuff. They originally wanted to get Jonathan Harris to play a cameo. He was going to be the guy that paid off Dr. Smith and betrayed him. And he says, "I don't do cameos." I can just hear him say it too. Bill Mumy. They were originally going to get Bill Mumy to play the adult Will Robinson, which would have been perfect. It would have been a lot less annoying than that kid. Let me tell you, that kid that played Will Robinson. And the one playing Penny. Oh God, I wanted to throttle her, just to make her shut up. Dick Tufeld. Thank you, Tom. Thank you. I was right on the tip of my tongue. Dick Tufeld. That's right. Yeah, they were going to get Bill Mumy to play, but he couldn't get away from Babylon 5. He was playing Lanier on Babylon 5, and they just couldn't make the schedule work, so it ended up being Jared Harris, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So, yeah, I wanted that movie to be. I mean, when they did the thing with Daffy with the rocket flares that made the sign of Daffy Duck, I said, okay, you know what? That's no. No. And there was somebody else was going to play Don West in that, and they got rid of him and they brought in Matt LeBlanc. I don't remember who it was, but anyway, I just know way too much about that movie, more than any human being should know. Okay, so. Oh wow! Look at the time. It's 11:15. We're getting close to where we need to start wrapping it up. Any last minute things? Any last minute questions or anything? I appreciate y'all being here, and see, we did manage to do it without a rant. Just because nobody brought up Stuckies. I hate Stuckies. Just don't bring up Stuckies. So there we go. I guess that's going to be it, unless there's any last minute requests. And of course, there's some latency here, so I got to sit here and wait for the latency to catch up. That's just the one thing I really love, about broadcasting, analog. You do it and it goes out, bang, immediately. Speed of light, it's immediately out. And yeah, if you don't like Bill Mumy, you're a very bad man. You're a very bad man. You just have to see that. You'd have to know what I'm. Okay, so I guess that's it. Is that it? I guess that's it. Remember, tomorrow night we're gonna take this. I'm gonna take this. I'm trying to angle it so that you can actually see it and it's not blown out. We're going to take this and scan it. Oh, there we go. Then we're going to scan it and color it. And ever draw a four-armed Naga Sam? No, but I have drawn a four-armed snail of Sam with Sam as a snail. Did that for a whole comic book. So we're going to scan this, color it, also show you a little bit how I am working on getting Lair of the Insectars finished, because I'm doing that all digitally over there on the other computer with the Cintiq. So tomorrow we will be coming from the other side of the Worldwide Broadcast Operations Center, and let's see. Okay, so I guess that's it. I guess we're gonna wrap this one up. So I'm just kind of, again, I'm just waiting for this to catch up. Again, the latency is just, we got about 12 seconds latency here. It's just killing me. Yeah, he did a sequel for It's a Good Life. Well, Cloris Leachman was in it, and his daughter was in it. Pretty cool. That's well, yeah, that's right. There was in the crossover, there was a four-armed Sam and Anne fusion into a centaur. So okay, so I guess we're kind of wrapping this one up. So getting ready to call it here. This is the part I hate, because I just hate here sitting there. Okay, we're just gonna sit here and wait and see if anybody says anything, and then all right. So I guess we're gonna call it. So that's the show for tonight. Thank you for watching. Thank you for putting up with all of this. Again, tell your friends. Remember. We've got a new URL, so it's easy for people to find this. And when I find my placer for it, is it here? Yes, there it is. bit.ly/nightly draw. Easy to find. You don't have to type in a whole bunch of stuff. Just do that. It'll take you right to this page that you're on. Give it to your friends. Let them know if they're interested in cartooning and drawing. I love taking questions and doing all that stuff. And if you want, if anybody wants a tutorial, I'll be happy to launch into one of those. I love doing that. So as you know, it's a very free-form show. Even when I have something to do, it's still a very free-form show. So tell your friends, have them come over and subscribe. I haven't made any decisions about the Twitch Picardo thing yet. I'm still trying to figure out my options on that. Definitely going to put up a more permanent reflector back there, because that really makes a big difference in terms of the quality of the lighting on this shot here. But tomorrow night, as I said, we'll be coming from the other side of the room. You are definitely going to want to be here for that. And so I think we're going to say goodnight. So thank you again. Don't forget to drive safely. And until tomorrow night, when we'll be coming from our remote location, good night.